Welcome back to another review. My name is Daniel Polidoro. Today I'm going to be talking about Sideways from 2004, directed by Alexander Payne, adapted from the book Sideways by Rex Pickett. This basically follows Miles, who's a English teacher, struggling novelist. He's just heard that he might hear back from his agent, and he's decided to go on a road trip with one of his best friends, Jack, who's getting married, kind of like a bachelor party, but for two. And they go on a road trip through wine country in California. So we follow them through the course of a week. Jack is having, thoughts on the marriage. Should he get married? Should he not get married? And Miles is having his own insecurity problems with the novel and his publicist. Really great movie. Really great buddy comedy. It came out in 2004 and also stars Virginia Madsen and Sandra Oh. So yeah, there's going to be spoilers. So if you haven't seen Sideways, turn it off, come back. Be sure you're subscribed to my channel below. And so let's get into it. So yeah, Miles goes and picks up Jack, and Jack says goodbye to his fiancée. They hit the road. They're gonna go. Miles has it all planned out. He's really into wine. He's the connoisseur. Jack is the actor buddy. Jack really makes it clear early on in the movie that he wants to get laid. Despite him engaged, he's that kind of guy. He's got to have some action. He's going to get his. And Miles is, he's too passive to really stand up to Jack at this point. So they head out, and Miles gives a great demonstration of how to, smell the wines and the fruits really explain how do you absorb wine culture. I didn't know anything about wine culture until I watched Sideways. I mean, you swirl it around, you smell it. You can really smell the juices and the aroma of the grapes. So I thought it was really informative, and it's one of those movies that you can just relax and enjoy. But it ends up that Jack is actually chewing gum at one point during a tasting, so he's not really taking this seriously for the wine. Then they head up to the Hitching Post, and Miles is a regular there, and that's where he sees Maya. They see Maya, and Jack says that, in fact, Miles' book is getting published. So that's kind of to impress Maya and have her come over. So she comes over, she has a drink. Miles thinks that Maya is married. Miles is always going to the negative side, and Jack is more of an optimist and really only cares about himself, having a good time. And so turns out that Maya is divorced, and she's been divorced a couple years. Jack finds this out, and when she came to the bar at the end of her work shift, she wasn't wearing her ring, and Jack points that out to Miles. So Miles is still, I don't know. So then they go out to the next winery, and there's Sandra Oh's character, and that's Jack hits it off with her, immediately hits on her, and then they agree to have like a double date. So Miles is even more nervous, and we really get a sense of his anxiety before they go into the restaurant. Jack is, you're not going to embarrass me. You're not going to drink too much. You're going to stay cool. I'm going to get laid. You're going to do whatever with Maya, but I'm going to get laid. And Miles, this is the classic scene, the classic line, I am not drinking any fucking Merlot. And Miles just goes off on Jack in the back alley before they go in. So Miles is already on edge. And what do you know? Miles drinks a bunch. He drinks a bunch. He ends up going to the phone booth, which they do a great job editing here. Miles goes to an actual phone booth and makes a call. He makes a call, and who does he call? He calls his ex, who he's strung up on, which we heard about earlier when Miles goes and takes Jack to visit his mom, but Miles is really there to steal money from his mom. So there's no perfect characters in this movie, which I found really interesting. Back to the table, and Miles is drunk on his ass, and he calls his ex, and she's engaged. She's gonna get married, and he just has like this total down moment. And he comes back to the table where the three of them are there, and Jack, the girls go to the bathroom, and Jack is like, "What the fuck, man? What are you doing? You're doing exactly what I told you not to do." So he embarrasses himself, and then they go back. They decide to go back to Sandra O's place, and they have more wine, and Jack is getting laid, and it's just Maya and Miles, which there's a fantastic scene there where Miles asks Maya, what brought you into wine? What got you into wine? And she explains that she likes to think of wine as being alive, and it's a beautiful scene. And then Miles gives his description where he basically talks about himself, has insecurities, and that's why he likes Pinot, because it's kind of a rare wine. It's a little softer once you get to know it. And he says that way better than I did. But it's a touching moment, and they bond. And Miles ends up giving Maya a draft of his novel, 2 boxes of his novel. So it's quite the lengthy novel. And then we fast forward on, and Jack is in love with Sandra Oh. He wants to quit the wedding and move here. He says, Miles, you can get a job here at the winery. You and Maya can take up, you guys can have your own little thing going, and we can all live happy together. And Miles finally stands up to him like, you should call your fiance right now. You should explain this right now. You have to take control of your life right now, Jack. What are you doing? It's a whirlwind, and we see the dynamic now where Miles is really standing up to Jack. Then there's some cool music. I really dig the music in this, man. It's when they're going through the winery and tastings and all that, and going through the museum. And so Miles and Maya are sitting under a tree. She's like, "You want to do something Saturday?" And Miles is like, "Well, we got to get back for the rehearsal dinner." And she's like, "What rehearsal dinner?" Maya immediately ends it with Miles, and Miles, he was just he was caught being honest. I mean, it is true they have to go back, and now Sandra Oh, man, when she comes up to the hotel and she hits Jack with the helmet, busts his nose open, she is pissed because she was under the impression that he was in love with her, and he was going to stay there, and he was going to stay in love, and he was going to marry her and stay there. So, but that's a great scene. Jack totally deserves it. So Miles and Jack, they've had quite a week, so they're going to head back and get to the rehearsal dinner and the wedding. And it turns out Jack has not had enough. He wants to have more sex. So they go to this restaurant, and he basically has sex with the waitress. Sex with the waitress, and he comes back to the hotel, wakes Miles up. He's naked at this point, and he's like, "Dude, we got to go back. We got to go back to her place. I left my wallet. The wedding ring for Saturday is there, and my fiance is going to kill me if I don't have the wedding ring." And so they Miles goes into the house, and the waitress and her husband are having sex in the bed, and there's the wallet. It zooms in on the wallet, and Miles darts across the room, grabs the wallet, and heads out. And then we see full frontal of the husband chasing him, and he crashes right into the windshield. It's hilarious, man. Miles is a true friend. I gotta say that. I don't know. I would probably do it. Yeah. I don't know, man. These guys obviously have been friends forever. So this probably isn't the only time that Jack has put Miles in this situation. So they head back, and they got to do one last thing. They got to make it look convincing that why Jack broke his nose. So they run into a tree and make it look like a car accident where Jack wasn't wearing a seatbelt. So then we go to the wedding and the reception, and Miles sees his ex-wife, and she drops the news that, you know, any hope that Miles had of them getting back together is over, and she is pregnant. She's gonna have a baby with her new husband. And so you kind of see where Miles is still holding on to the past, even though the past has moved on. And then we have a great scene where Miles goes home. I think it's a fantastic ending where he checks his voicemail and it's Maya. Maya making a phone call, makes that call. She says, "Hey, I've been, you know, I read your book and I can't believe you went through all that. I can't believe that the story is so personal. Is all this true?" And so Maya makes contact, and Miles decides to take a risk, to move forward, to actually for once move forward for himself in life, and make the drive to Maya's. So we end with the final frame is the door, and Miles knocking. And I thought it's a fantastic film, nominated for several Oscars, including Best Picture, Director. But the biggest crime of all is that Paul Giamatti was not nominated for Best Actor. I think he should have been nominated for Best Actor. They gave him a nomination the year later with Cinderella Man, a supporting role, but Sideways is Paul Giamatti's best movie. I think the characters in Sideways are by Alexander Payne. The direction, they're well defined. You know, all four of them, all four of the characters are well defined, and we really see the dynamic between Miles and Jack. It's really a great buddy movie, and these characters seem like they could be right around the corner. They seem realistic, and I think it still holds up to today, to 2021. I think Sideways from 2004 is an underrated gem, in my opinion. So if you've seen the movie, let me know below your thoughts. Comment, subscribe. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'll be back with another review. Thank you so much.